Cam Ward and Ashton Gentye have the best odds to win the Heisman. They should not be tied.
Get ready for the 3-point stance. 3 different minds, 3 different opinions. 3 dudes talking ball. It's Kenton. It's Jay. It's Zach. Time to bring the heat, boys.
Yes, it's the 3-point stance. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. Kenton Gibbs, Jay Smith, I'm Zach Blackerby. We're going to talk about some weird lines and weird favorites all throughout college football, especially BYU, an underdog on the road against UCF. But there's several Heisman hopefuls out there, guys. And right now, when you look at the best odds, Cam Ward, of course, the quarterback for Miami, Ashton Gentye, the running back for Boise State, putting up video game-like numbers. They both have the best odds, according to our friends at FanDuel, to win the Heisman. They're both tied at plus 200 right now. I don't think these guys should be tied, Kenton. I think right now, I don't think they're going to give it to a running back. I don't think they're going to give it to a running back at Boise State. I think Cam Ward is the true most likely winner as we have this discussion today.
Let me read off something for you all very quickly here. I'm going to read every Heisman winner since 2014. So that would be the last 10 years, okay? And I'm not going to read the names of them. I'm just going to read their position. We've got quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, running back, quarterback. What the hell is this? The Davey O'Brien Award?
Yes. That's what it's become, yes.
No. That's not what it should be. The statistical probability that a quarterback is the best player in the nation this often, there's something in the water. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Cam Ward. Miami would not be where they are today without Cam Ward.
Sure.
I don't think if you're talking about pure impact to his team, I don't think that there are many who can even sniff where Cam Ward is. However, there's that bad man from Texas. I believe Frisco, Texas, to be exact. He stands in the backfield like Michael Myers, waiting to stalk his prey. He doesn't get down in that low running back stance that most of us are used to seeing, where you get your feet apart. Jay Smith's doing the stance for those of you who can't watch and you're hearing me. But he's one of those guys that when he gets that ball, he is Michael Myers because, in the words of a good friend of mine, murder, she wrote. A murder, she wrote. Every time Ashton Gentye touches the ball, he's got a chance to say, I'm going to the house. I got reservations for 6, and all my fellas want to eat a steak the size of their back. So I don't understand why we're saying Ashton Gentye can't win when he's done it against everybody. It's not like he's done it against just the group of 5 teams that he's played. Then he played power conference teams. He showed his ass against Oregon. And Dan Lanning said that's probably the best player you're going to see all year. I don't know why we wouldn't be talking about him tied with Cam Ward. I think it's fair because Cam Ward's been dominant. So is he.
Well, I agree with you. I think Gentye deserves it as of right now. I just don't think they'll give it to him, Jay.
No, they won't. And, I mean, here's another name to think about as Kenton went through the numbers. You had Bryce Love, rushed for 2,118 yards, 19 touchdowns. He was number 2 in the Heisman Trophy race. He lost to Baker Mayfield because Baker threw for 4,600 yards and 43 touchdowns. But that's the one thing about the Heisman that I've learned. Not only is it for the most dynamic player, it's for the one that does something that we've never really seen before, or it's been a long time since we've seen it. That's where Ashton Gentye is at right now. He's rushed for 1,200 yards in 6 games. Like, that's absurd. This is getting closer and closer to the Melvin Gordon, Barry Sanders era of running. And he's not, as Ken said, he's doing it against everybody. So we don't have a quarterback in college football that's been just that dynamic, that has just stood that head and toes better than everybody else outside of your traditional stat padding. So this should be the year that a running back has an opportunity to win it. I don't understand why we're overlooking it, but I'm glad that the odds show him as at least tied for first. Now, Travis Hunter, if he can get healthy, he may be able to make some noise, but I think that injury and being out 2 games, well, roughly 1 full game since it's been 2 halves, I think he's basically knocked himself out of it.
All right, so let's play a game here, and we'll do it with Cam Ward and Gentye, as well as the other guys who are favored to at least attend New York City for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. If player is to win the Heisman, they must do blank. So let's start with Cam Ward. If Cam Ward wins the Heisman, he must do blank.
He must go undefeated, and he must throw for 50 touchdowns. I think if he does that, he's put it out of reach. There's nothing that Gentye can do to kind of have that conversation or even be in there. But here's the thing. If Miami loses a game, ultimately, unless they put up 60-something points and defense just allows 70, it's going to be, oh, well, we knew that Mario couldn't do it. We knew that Miami wasn't really back. We knew that Cam Ward, and that's unfair to them because they are legitimately an amazing team this year. I don't think that Miami is so good as a program. I don't think we say they're back with one good season, but it will unfairly hurt Cam Ward that people will be like, oh, well, people they're just not a real team. They are who we thought they were. So they have to go undefeated, and he has to put up 50 touchdowns.
All right, Jay, if Ashton Gentye is to win the Heisman, he must do blank.
Rush for 2,600 yards and 25 touchdowns at minimum. That's the thing. You've got to do something that no one else has ever seen in order to actually get the attention of the voters. Look, 6 games in, he's rushed for 1,200. If he gets in the next 6, if he rushes for another 1,200, that's 2,400. That's very close. He's got to get as close as possible to Barry Sanders' record, and he probably needs to actually get closer to 30 touchdowns. You do that, there's no denying him that award.
That'd be insane. I'm going to add a caveat to yours, if you don't mind. If Ashton Gentye is to win the Heisman, he must, everything you said, and also hope that a quarterback doesn't take it from him. I think when you've seen the non-quarterbacks in the past, like with Devonta a few years ago, there wasn't a quarterback that really took the Heisman. He needs He needs Cam Ward to stumble somewhere. He needs Dylan Gabriel to maybe underachieve in a big moment later this season. I think he needs also to do those things, but also say, hey, hopefully a quarterback doesn't come and take it on championship weekend.
Look at the numbers from the year that Devontae Adams won it, right? You had Trevor Lawrence right behind him, but he only threw for 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns. That's nothing.
And they wanted to give it to T-Law, if I remember correctly.
Right. Mac Jones threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns, but guess what the voters knew? That was all because of Devontae Smith. So that's what you need. This is not a very strong quarterback season, luckily, for Ashton Gentye, that he's putting these numbers up now, him and Travis Hunter.
Right.
As long as they continue to put their numbers up, I don't think we're going to have a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards that's really worth it.
Yeah, and I think that helps Gentye a ton. Okay, so all right, if Dylan Gabriel, the Oregon quarterback, is to win the Heisman, he must do blank. Kenton.
He must turn it up a notch in the second half of the season. And this is no disrespect to him. This is not saying that he has not played well. But what I mean by turn it up in the second half of the season, he will have a plethora of opportunities to show not only am I good, I'm great. I'm the baddest mamma jamma y'all have seen in quite some time. You play Illinois, who has an amazing defense. If you put up Heisman numbers against them, people are going to look at you different. You play Michigan, who rightfully or wrongfully, they may not be able to throw the ball. They may have no offense other than, hey, we're going to send Edwards right. Hey, we're going to send Mullings left. Hey, we're going to send Edwards up the middle. Hey, we're going to send Mullings on the outside. But they can play some ball in terms of defense in the big house and whatnot. And then you've got Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington. None of those three are all that exciting. But you also have the Big Ten championship in there as well, most likely a rematch against Ohio State. Again, you're going to have plenty of moments to have Heisman moments. And I'll tell you, if you need a specific, if he averages now 350 and 4 more touchdowns, 350 total yards, 4 more touchdowns in all those games, he's going to have a very good shot at this because Oregon's going to run the table. They're going to be number one. And we know the Heisman loves to say the best quarterback on the best team, it has to be that guy, even if that quarterback is some mid. Not saying Dylan Gabriel is, just saying we've given it to mid before.
No, you're right. You're right. All right, last one, Jay. If Travis Hunter, the Colorado standout, is to win the Heisman, he must blank.
Over 100 catches, over 1,500 yards receiving, over 12 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He's going to have to do something that we have never seen before for him to ever be considered. The only thing that's good for him is that AP just dropped his midseason All-Americans. He's first team on both sides of the ball. So everybody's recognizing that he's really dynamic on both sides. He's going to have to show us with some numbers. If he can get over 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards receiving, if he can finish the season with that, double-digit touchdowns and 6 picks, he's got it. If he wants to lock it up for real, give me double-digit interceptions by the end of the season.
Yeah, that'd be insane. On offense, 51 catches, 604 yards, 6 touchdowns. So not quite on pace for everything that you said, but on pace for some of them. So we'll see. We'll see if he gets it. Who wins the Heisman? Who should be the favorite? Comment down below. There are some weird odds this weekend, and one pertains to one of us three here, and you get a chance to go off. That's coming up right here on the 3-Point Stands. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sports book. We'll just do a quick rapid fire, guys. Quick rapid fire here. Arkansas at Mississippi State. Arkansas is 6.5-point favorite.
Ooh, yeah, Arkansas, baby.
Yeah, I think they cover it as well. Missouri at Alabama. Alabama, 14.5-point favorite, according to our friends at FanDuel.
That's low, Bama.
That line keep getting bigger like a Kardashian. I'll tell you what.
It is. It's growing.
All right, then we'll stay in the SEC. My Auburn Tigers at Kentucky. Kentucky, a 2.5-point favorite.
Ooh, that's disrespectful. Golly. Especially after Kentucky's loss. Give me Kentucky.
This game stinks in terms of a line, but you know what? I smell what Auburn's cooking. I think they cover, but they don't win.
All right. Wow, that'd be devastating.
That would be devastating. That sounds in Auburn fashion. Let's go for it.
2.5-point line, and you don't win. Goodness gracious. Hey, you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com. It's the 3-Point Stand. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. All right, BYU is an underdog on the road against UCF. It's just 1.5 points. According to our friends at FanDuel, other places have that line growing, so we'll see what happens on the FanDuel Sportsbook. But what's going on with this, Kitten? How is BYU a dog on the road against UCF?
Listen, your guess is as good as mine. I'm confused. I'm sitting up here looking up injury reports. I'm saying somebody's got to be hurt and out. That's a major factor and whatnot. And that it's looking pretty empty on that front. I mean, the websites I found, the only things I found in terms of who's questionable and out and whatnot is from way, way back in the day. And it's not any player that looks of serious significance. I don't know. This UCF team is on a 3-game skid. They on the 3-game spank that baby, put them to sleep skid, by the way. This ain't a 3-game skid where it's like, oh, you lost 3 heartbreakers and you're right there every single game. It's just not going right. And mind you, we're looking at a BYU team here that they've shown up all year. They've shown up all year. There has not been a single game yet where you say, oh, is BYU football actually going to do this? Oh, is BYU football actually legit? I mean, maybe you could make the argument that playing Oklahoma State close and Baylor close weren't great games given how those team seasons have went. But other than those two, what else could you really say? You open up the season with an absolute drubbing. I'm sorry. You open up the season with an absolute drubbing of Southern Illinois. You escape by the hairs of your chinny chin chin against SMU, who is now a 1-loss team at this point in the season. You drub Wyoming. You drub Kansas State. And then you have your close couple games here in terms of Oklahoma State, BYU, with a 22-point win at Arizona, sketch sandwiched in between. I don't understand what BYU has to do to get some respect, but sometimes Vegas like to give out money, and I'm part of the free bands crew. If I was a bettor, I'm going to scrape up on some of those free bands because there's no way I'm believing in UCF to turn around in this game. Yeah, Jay, I mean, BYU is probably the team outside the top 10 that I've been screaming, saying this is a top 10 football team. And we talked about this yesterday when we were talking about specifically the Big Ten not doing so well traveling across the country.
Is it that? Is it because they have to go all the way from Utah to Orlando? Is that why UCF's favored here?
It shouldn't be, because Colorado was a 14-point dog, traveled across country and smacked them right in the mouth. Right. That's exactly. So that's not it. But I do think I have an idea of why. Let me give you all a name. Ollie Gordon. Y'all remember that guy, right? Y'all have heard of him before, right? Last year's Doak Walker winner, the guy that was one of the Heisman front runners starting the season, one of those just great running backs in college football. He's been awful this season. 491 yards rushing so far. He's had 2 100-yard games this season. Guess who that came against? San Diego State and BYU. BYU gave up 69 yards rushing against Oklahoma State. And that was the first game Oklahoma State had over 200 yards rushing since the San Diego State game. They've been awful this year. BYU giving up that much in running, UCF rushes for 300 yards a game. That's literally all they do. BYU couldn't stop the run against Kansas State, but what helped them win that game 38-9? A fumble recovery for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown. Basically put the game away. So in this one, what it looks like is Vegas is saying, that rush defense by BYU, suspect. So that means that they think that UCF is going to run it straight down BYU's throat, and that's what's going to cost them the game.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm taking BYU. I don't care what the spread is. I'm taking BYU.
Oh, this is pure trap. I'm going all in on UCF, and I'm going to double it. I'm going to double what I put down. This is a trap game. There's no reason, absolutely no reason for UCF to be a favorite in this game. That's why you got to take them.
Ken, where are you going on this?
And you know what's so interesting? Jay Smith has an outstanding record of bets on this show. You know, he has an outstanding record. So bettors, please beware and listen to Jay Smith. As his record on bets on this show is what now, Zach Blackerby? What is it, 0-1?
It's 0-1. It's 0-1.
Okay.
I knew there was a joke coming in there. It's okay.
How confident are you?
How confident?
Yeah, you still got the shirt, right? The shirt come back next week? How confident are you?
All right, let's go for it. Sure to come back on next week.
Oh my! I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna put it to you all this way. I'm gonna put it to you all this way. I do a prediction show on Bleacher Report every Friday, and the one thing that I'm infamous for over there is sniffing out these Vegas ridiculous lines. One of my favorite ones was after Notre Dame took that L against Northern Illinois. They were like a 9-point favorite on the road against Purdue. What? You just got punched in the throat by a team that's inferior. How are you Oh, Vegas is telling us something. Took the money. They beat the dog out of that team. So I keep an eye on these.
Okay.
If it's a spread, it don't make sense. I'm probably gonna take it.
All right. We'll see what happens.
You know what UCF did in their last game in terms of through the air against Iowa State? They hit through for 62 yards and 2 interceptions. And
yes.
You're telling me that they put up 35 points with that. So let's make no bones about the fact that they can run the ball. Now the boys can run the ball for sure.
That's what they do. That's all they do. That's it.
But you're telling me that you believe in them getting stops as well? Because this ain't just a one factor game now. You can't just, we're gonna play offense, ball up top. We get to keep it if we score. If it was that type of game, we'd be looking at something different. But you got to defend too. Your boys have to get out there and get a stop, which I don't think that they could stop a running nose with 12 COVID shots with the boosters and Mucinex and Robitussin and tissue. You can't be fussing with the tussin, and they still couldn't stop a running nose with it. I'm just saying.
I love that you listed tissue last of all of those things.
Right. The meds were supposed to dry up, and the tissue was supposed to come through, and it didn't come through as well. But I'll say this. Vanderbilt beat Bama by doing one thing. Keeping the ball for 42 minutes compared to 17. Ratcliffe is very susceptible to interceptions.
This game to Bama Vandy?
Yes. Yes, I did. Why? Because Ratcliffe has a tendency of giving the ball away occasionally, but they had to win the game basically on a last-minute drive against Oklahoma State.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see it, Jay. I love the passion.
A team that made us believe that Florida has a pulse and has started this Billy Napier could go on a run thing is going to win a game. Yeah, okay. I believe you. Yeah.
Sure. We agreed Billy Napier going on a run wasn't the right. It was more like a brisk walk. I think we all agreed on that. I think we all agreed on that.
upbeat walk, like not quite a jog, but like I got the arms pumping,
Yeah,
He'll win 6 games.
That's it.
His last 2
All right.
games of the season.
We've got an even stranger line that's coming up right here on the 3-point stance.
And folks, I know that we're talking betting, we're talking money, we're talking all the good things, but I need to tell y'all something that we've got coming up for everybody that's going to work out for everybody, and that is Prize Picks. It's the best place to be to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 now. That's 100 ball times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Folks, like I said, you can grow your winnings, or you can grow and win your money up to 100 times what you put in on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including but not limited to California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Sign up today to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to even win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So make sure that you download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Folks, it is so simple. You've got to get into it. Prize Picks, run your game.
Final few minutes on today's edition of the 3-point stance. This line is mind-blowing to me as well. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 20.5-point dog against an Ole Miss team who has been as inconsistent as possible, particularly on the offensive side of the football, against an Oklahoma team who I think's defense is pretty solid. Jay, this is your team. This is your world. Why is your team a 20.5-point dog against Ole Miss?
Did nobody watch that South Carolina game? Did we not see 21 points pop up on the screen within the first 6 minutes of the game? The offense likes giving the ball away. He's like, here you go. We like to walk you into the end zone. Here is a pick 6. Here's a fumble 6. You know what? We're going to also give you the ball at a fumble within the 20-yard line so you can just kick a field goal and go up. South Carolina scored 24 points off of what? Turnovers. If those turnovers don't happen, this is a very close game. But that's the biggest issue that Oklahoma has right now. Now, granted, we just made a massive overhaul by firing our offensive coordinator, which sounds like that was actually the problem, but we don't know. We'll have to see what happens in the end. But until otherwise proven, fade Oklahoma until the cows come home. Because right now, the team is just not providing the product that they need to on one side of the ball. They're literally handicapping and pulling the Achilles heel of the defense. As you said, Zach, this defense is solid. And it's shown. It's not giving up very many points. And it's actually getting turnovers. It's not giving up a lot of yards. But the problem is that whenever you're giving up short yardage, like short fields, every single time you're in the game, how can you expect your defense to actually do a good job? Yeah. They can get a turnover. What does this offense have done? They gave it right back. So what we need to do is see if the offense has picked up and fixed some of the major issues, which is taking care of the ball.
Ken, I mean, what do you feel about this? I mean, 3 touchdowns here. I mean, that's a lot of points.
3 touchdowns in a conference game is always too many. And Jay Smith is trying to trick y'all. He's trying to sing you to sleep with a lullaby. Let me tell you why. Because I know, like y'all know, Jay Smith feel like it's time for him to get a retwist. And he's trying to put something on it to get it through Prize Picks. He said they're gonna pay for this retwist. I ain't gonna pay for it. They gonna pay for it. You know, I know that. I know it ain't too many folks that do that where he at. So I know he got to drop a pretty penny. Let me explain something to you. Okay? Oklahoma may have been a turnover-riddled mess last week. Absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. Ole Miss may have the defense that on paper can force those turnovers and make those things happen to get them a 20-point win. Will they in reality? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I think Brent Venables is in over his head as a head coach? Yes. At certain points, absolutely. However, if we're talking going mind for mind, offensive mind in Kiffin against defensive mind Venables, I think that's a stalemate. Maybe Venables has a slight edge. Here's why I'm saying I don't believe that 20 is an appropriate line. 2 touchdowns or so, I get it. 14-17, I can feel that. But Ole Miss has had too many inconsistencies of their own. You never know which Ole Miss team is showing up. And anytime I see a 20 ball as your line, you better be playing either a bad group of 5, you better be playing an FCS, or you better be some head busters. We'll knock a fella out. We some head busters type of moment, type of energy that you bring into the field. Ole Miss has not bought that consistently. So I don't know why I would go with a three touchdown line. But like I said, my hair would look just like Jay Smith's. My mom ain't get it permed in the 3rd grade. But I'll tell you, he is trying to get his hair done on y'all people. And I'll tell you, it's not cheap. It's not. He's trying to fool you. Don't let him fool you, because he's gonna come in here. He's gonna come in here Monday with the fresh lineup and the retwist on y'all Monday. Don't let him fool you.
Okay. All right. Let's pivot to tonight. Little Thursday night college football action. Syracuse at Pitt. Pitt is number 19. A weirdly important game when you talk about, the footing in the ACC, and it's still open. There's all this talk about Miami and Clemson, but they've got SMU, they've got Pitt. Syracuse isn't too far behind them either, and I don't think the Syracuse team is bad. I think you could put a number next to their name, and I wouldn't blink at it. I think Syracuse is a solid football team. So to me, this game's super, super important for Pitt. They're kind of on the outside looking in, and I think a win like this tonight puts them in that conversation of those top 4 teams in the ACC, which means you've got a shot, to make the college football playoff.
They absolutely get right in this game. Pitt absolutely does what they have to do to beat Syracuse in this game. And I love me some Fran Brown. I think he's fantastic. I really do. Kyle McCord has proved me wrong and shut me up on many fronts in terms of the player that he is. But let's talk about these teams for just a second in terms of the history. We got to go back and do the history of this thing. Syracuse has not beaten a Pitt team with a winning record in nearly 20 years.
Wow.
Last time Syracuse beat a Pitt team with a winning record, I was watching them orange cassette tapes with Timmy, Tommy, and Chucky, going to Chuck E. Cheese's to get the pizzas. That's how long ago that was. So now if I go to Chuck E. Cheese to get pizza, people would want to put a weird case on me, rightfully so. So with that in mind, I look at this game and I say to myself, these are not your father's Syracuse Orange. They are much better than that. However, these may not be your father's Pitt Panthers either. This is a really, really good team, and I'm going to tell you, this is the biggest reason why I'm picking Pitt over Syracuse, okay? There's 2 reasons. Mm-hmm. Number 1, I think that Narduzzi is a better coach than Fran Brown. But number 2, Syracuse has not delivered that knockout blow. They've kind of beat guys like Floyd Mayweather beats them. They get you against, they wear you out. They're consistent. They say, hey, we do what we need to do to win. They're not delivering knockout blows. And here's the problem with that. Pitt has proven time and time again this season. If you don't knock them out, they're going to be right there. They're going to be right there. And Eli Holstein has been Captain Cool in the clutch, rather, every time he has had to be this season to keep Pitt undefeated. So if Syracuse does not deliver a knockout blow, which I don't think they will, Pitt walks away with a win, which I believe is happening in this game.
Yeah, no, that's a good stat that they have not beat a Pitt team with a winning record in 20 plus years. That's bananas. And me personally, I can see that. That's the one thing that makes me wonder, can Syracuse break that streak though? I mean, they're 5-1 this year, and they're actually playing some really good football. Kyle McCord, I mean, I picked at him at the beginning of the creation of this show for the fun of it. But he's cooking. He really is. If Fran Brown is having this Syracuse team play some good defense. So
Syracuse wins this football game, gentlemen.
Now, I don't know if I can say that yet. I don't know if I'm sold on Syracuse fully, but I'm also not sold on Pitt yet, even though Pitt is undefeated. I don't believe you. You need more people. And I think that they're going to give us that possibly in this game. This would be a good defining game for Pitt. If they come out there and they cover this spread, 7-point win, 27-20, something of that nature, which their total is 62.5, which is high. They expect a shootout. Can Pitt keep with them in this shootout. Eli Holstein is balling. Got to give him that too. Got to say both quarterbacks cooking. I don't know though. Pitt's been keeping a lot of their games close. All the games that matter have been close. 28-27 Cincinnati.
Guys, Kyle McCord has over 2,100 passing yards this season. Like, he is straight balling right now.
He is.
Yes.
And
his wide receivers,
and they went to overtime versus UNLV.
That wide receiver core has been. Wide receiver core has been special this year. But you want to know a fun fact about that UNLV game? They had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. Why didn't they put them away? How did they go to overtime? Oh, they can't hit teams with the knockout punch. I was there in attendance when they came to Raleigh. They did not hit NC State. NC State hit itself with the knockout punch. You know when you do the Y-I-OTA in Tom and Jerry and you swing and hit yourself? That's what NC State did, having the ball 5 times inside their 30 and coming away with, I believe, 10 points out of those 5 trips. I am telling you, Syracuse has escaped because some teams have flatly said, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to do this today. And Syracuse is like, are you sure you don't want to do it? We'd like to give you an opportunity to win it if you want it. And Pitt is going to win it if they want it because them boys want it.
Yeah, super important game. That's that's tonight on ESPN at 7:30. So, hey, guys, thank you so much for making 3 Point Stance your first listen every single day. For your second listen, go check out our buddy Spencer McLaughlin, host of Locked On College Football. For Kenton Gibbs and Jay Smith, I'm Zach Blackerby. This has been the 3 Point Stance.